bad, bad place.
Okay, so I am filming.
Awesome. I am trying not to kill myself.
But could you please talk to me about what you're doing?
About to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, like with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubt.
I am going to upgrade to a larger battery bank, and hopefully it will be enough for us to operate off-grid.
Could you please talk to me about what you're doing?
Yes, I'm disassembling the battery bank that came with the boat so that I can correct some fairly major issues and make a safe battery bank.
Can you look over here though? Can you look over here?
I'm concerned I might electrocute myself.
Stop! Stop for a second!
There we have these lovely mix-matched wires that should not be run together.
Mismatched wires.
Well, we've got what would indicate itself to be a positive run with what would indicate itself to be a negative rather than a neutral or in series. Just very hard to understand exactly what is going on here with no labels, no indication of what each wire should be and shouldn't be and why, and I can't trust the color coding. But right now it's almost time to
pull them out?
pull them out.
Oh my goodness, okay. I'll get this part and you get the back part.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh. Set it down right here. Set it down. That is really heavy. One down, 3 to go.
2.
Oh, yeah.
Balanced.
It's tilted. The dock is totally tilted from these suckers. Okay. Oh, yeah, empty compartment.
So the batteries aren't.
Sorry, say it again.
I'm going to be cutting these off because we need a few more inches on each side. And then I will probably take this wood that comes out and lay it down as part of the platform.
Oh, right,
so
because
that
it's probably the
batteries aren't
same thickness.
cantilevered. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully. We don't really know if it is.
Better than nothing.
I mean, cantilevered is better than imbalanced. Like, you know, one height versus another height. Because
Maybe.
you have the sides there, so, to keep it in place. These guys, that one, and these will keep it in place even if this part right here is not there and it's lower. So. How's she doing? Oh, sweet girl. Oh yeah, she's so playful. Careful not to cut that wire. I think you should move that wire out of the way.
Mommy?
No, you have to cut more.
Mommy?
That thing is not going out of there unless you cut the bottom.
Mommy?
Yeah.
So when we first bought Someday, the surveyor noticed that 2 of the 3 batteries were in need of replacement. And so we knew we were going to replace the whole battery bank anyway. And we looked at lithium, but we decided on the Firefly Oasis, which is a foamed carbon matrix AGM. They meet kind of the best of both worlds. They're relatively inexpensive, and they have almost the performance of lithium as far as being able to discharge between 85 and 90 some odd percentage, and they last a long time with, I believe it's 3,600 cycles to full discharge. They also charge quickly, the way that lithium ion do. And the cost savings was too good to pass up. So we went with 6 Group 31 Firefly Oasis batteries. We'll get the exact price and put that in the comments, but it was roughly $3 grand to put in 6 Group 31 batteries for almost 8 or a little over 700 amp hours. We have the Outback charge controller for the solar that came with the boat. We also have 400 watts of wind turbine on a different controller. And we put in a 3,500 watt inverter so that we can run the ship's AC off of the battery bank. And I wired it up. It's kind of a tight spot, but was able to do that without electrocuting myself. We put in a large fuse here in line between the batteries and the inverter, so that if there is a short somewhere in line between the inverter and the batteries, we don't burn out the batteries. And I cleaned up actually quite a bit of extraneous wire that was in the battery bank before. It was kind of a jumbled, wouldn't say mess, but there were just some runs that didn't need to be in there. And so we cleaned that up and ran the proper tinned 3-strand AC line to the shore controller so that the inverter can power the ship. And that's about it inside the battery bank.
And what were some of the challenges when you were installing it or after it was installed?
Weight. Weight of the batteries that we had to take out. There were only 3 golf cart type batteries in here prior. And now there's, again, 6 Group 31s, which were much lighter, and I was able to get these in by myself, but I needed help from Chris to get the others out. The other challenge would be, just because it is such a confined space, being safe working around the batteries and not letting tools or wires cross between the 2 conductors and spark or create a fire.
What do you want to talk about what happened after with the inverter, after we had everything installed?
Oh, so the shore power switch didn't come with any documentation when we bought the boat. The previous owner was really good about keeping documentation on everything. And having manuals for everything, but the shore power switch is probably original. It is a South African company, and there was just no information that I could find about it. And so it took quite a bit of learning on my part to be able to figure out how that worked. And the inverter that came with the boat paid the price for me not having the documentation or the familiarity with it. There were internal jumpers inside of the shore power switch that I was unaware of, in addition to external jumpers that made circuits. And so at one point when we were still hooked up to shore power and I selected past to what I thought should be just the shipboard power, there was backfeed in the system. About 60 amps went through the inverter and fried it, and so we got a new inverter. So part of the reason that we decided to go with such a large battery bank was that we plan to do long-term cruising to remote places, and we'd like to do that without having to run the generator and
As much?
well, as much or at all if we can get away with it. We have approximately 900 watts of solar and an additional 400 watts of wind generation. In between the two and this size of a battery bank, we can run the refrigerator and lights indefinitely, and the water maker we can use as regularly as we would like to. We think, so far. We also rely on quite a bit of electricity for cooking, and that's where the inverter comes in, and we're still fine-tuning just how much and when we can use the inverter and things like our Instant Pot and the Vortex for cooking. We do have propane cooktop. It's Force 10 2-burner, but the oven, as with so many Force 10s, doesn't work. It only comes up to about 180 degrees temperature. And so that's useless for us as far as cooking. So that's why we have so much electrical appliances for cooking and food storage. And we're hoping that...
We've tried to fix the Force 10.
We're hoping that with this size battery bank and the electrical generation that we have, that we'll be able to stay in remote areas for quite a while with minimal generator use.